Hi. What are we doing here? Oh yeah. Um, I'm Kris Salvi,
I'm Gabrielle Rosson.
also known as Gabrielle Salvi.
Yeah.
Um, we're filmmakers, and we've been given the opportunity to answer a couple of questions here as filmmakers, as New England filmmakers, and I guess we're gonna go through that and answer these questions and interview each other, figure out what makes us tick.
Yeah.
I fell in love with cinema when I was a kid because my parents would leave the TV on and I had no supervision whatsoever. So I would constantly watch these reruns. And back then, a lot of the major cable networks were starting to run older movies, like AMC was starting to run older films. So you got to watch films like, Once Upon a Time in the West, Bad and the Beautiful. Um, Serials were a big thing, like the 1940s Batman serial. I used to watch those. I was like obsessed with those. Always constantly tuning in every week to see what happened to Batman. I'm so stupid that I thought that those were new shows. I didn't understand the concept of a rerun. I didn't know what a rerun was. I thought that they were brand new shows. So those Batman serials from the 40s, I'd go to school the next day and ask people, did you see the Batman show? Did you catch that cliffhanger? And it was my dad who told me, Kris, this was made like 50 years ago. Um, so I guess that's really when I fell in love with cinema, was watching these older movies on TV, especially the old horror movies. I saw a lot of those. They started to run a lot of like monster specials, so like Wolfman and Frankenstein and Dracula and Creature from the Black Lagoon was always a favorite. I always liked that. What about you?
Yeah. I think I fell in love with cinema definitely very young. I was also a latchkey kid. So I watched a lot of TV, a lot of movies. But I have to thank my mom because my mom was an avid watcher of films. She really appreciated the art form. I never once heard her talking about being a filmmaker because she was a musician, she was a singer.
Yeah.
But she turned me on to so many movies at a very young age. I mean, she showed me all of her favorites, and it was a really big deal. And also going to the movies was a big deal with my mom.
Oh yeah.
That was so much fun. Some of my best memories with my mom are going to movies. And I think for me, what I didn't know as a kid that I know now since becoming a filmmaker is what's so great about movies is they have it all. They have the writing, they have the visual, they have the music, they have all of these different components. So it really, like, for me as an artist who has done kind of a lot of different types of art, I've also done music to a lot of like crafty stuff, and now of course filmmaking. um, Film to me is like the best of all the art forms because you can do it all. That's the question of the day. And I think that is on everyone's mind right now because of the pandemic and because of kind of what we're seeing, how film is having to transition, and attention spans are getting smaller. So we see this kind of transitioning from this longer format cinema to kind of these smaller bite-sized pieces. But I don't really want to comment on that because I don't want to say one is better than the other, because to me it doesn't even, like, I don't know, that's not even a question for me, because as a creator all I care about is making film media,
Yeah.
right? So I don't care if it's 2 hours, I don't care if it's 10 minutes. To me that's irrelevant. I mean, I am trying to learn how to write series and episodic dramas and stories because I know that's kind of the future of filmmaking. But on the other hand, I don't think that the traditional, 90-minute, 2-hour long film is ever going to go away either. We're always going to want to see those films.
That's the thing too now. Like, we're in a golden age of TV now. We're in a golden age of television where writing for television and working on a series isn't like the stigma that it was 20 years ago.
And acting on TV too.
And acting on TV, like 20 years ago, if you were an actor on a television show, you were your career was kind of in the shit. Right. Not that we know anything about that, because we're not Hollywood, and
we don't want to be.
No, and we don't care about Hollywood. But I know that, you always hear, I think, on an independent film level, on a low budget level, you hear that somebody's making a series. I think people kind of roll their eyes and go, yeah, okay, because it's harder, as you know, to gather people for a series than it is to gather people for, say, like a short film. But I've always been interested in the concept of series and episodic, having more time, I think, to tell a story.